Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our weekly episode of Love Noise. Our guest tonight is artist, producer, jack of all trades. He's had the privilege to record music in the same studio as Elvis. Our guest tonight is Randy C. Moore. But before we bring him up, I'm going to bring my co-host as always up. Let's get Brad up here. Brad, how are you, buddy?
Good. How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm good. Again, here we go with that 7-ish.
There we go. I was thinking that while we were getting ready.
How are things on your end? I can't talk.
Things are going really well, man. We're making a lot of progress behind the scenes, and we can certainly talk about some of that as we get on to the show. But yeah, I just want to remind everyone that if you're not subscribed, make sure you do that now on the front end. We have a lot of really great stuff coming up, a lot of great guests, and as usual, lots of great content here for you to help you grow your music business.
All right, and without any further ado, let's get the man of the hour up. Let's welcome Randy C. Moore to the show.
Woo! Woo! Hey, there we go. What's up, Randy?
Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all.
You as well. I'm looking forward to our chat tonight.
Well, we got nothing else to do. That's all good.
There you go. So Willie, what's you want to kind of let's roll with the intro here and kind of go into a little detail about background on Mr. Moore.
So, Randy, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into music?
Well, I started out. I didn't want to be in the music business or anything. I'm a guy who paints pictures, so I wanted to go to art school for as long as I could remember when I was in grade school and in high school. But somehow I got derailed by a guitar, this one right here. And the reason why is because I found out that girls like guys who play guitar and sing songs. So that was my reason for getting into it. I have no deep yearning to express myself in some particular fashion or any sort of, therapeutic thing of self-expression. It all had to do originally with girls. So I started out with that. And I was writing songs living in Humble, Texas, which is north of Houston a little bit. Mm-hmm. And the songs I was writing were like folk and country songs. And so my dad and mom, they kind of got an interest in it. My dad had a friend who he went to high school with in Memphis. This guy's name was Arch Yancey. And Arch was a big-time disc jockey in the Houston, Texas area. So Dad calls him up. Hadn't talked to him in years and years. And so he asked if I could come over and I could play him some of my songs and see if he might have any ideas. And Arch was happy to help. As a matter of fact, he got me to be able to do my first recording sessions in the Houston area. And then he invited me to be on his show at Gilley's nightclub. So here I am, 16 years old, and I'm doing a Thursday night just about every week at Gilley's nightclub in Pasadena, Texas. My folks were with me the whole time, but it was really great experience being able to get up and sing a few songs with the house band and sort of get myself rolling in the direction that felt like that's what you do. And the next thing I know, I'm auditioning for an amusement park in Nashville because I knew that it was a good place to sort of get a foothold in Music City for somebody who was my age. And I landed at this place called Opryland, USA. It was in the country show. And through that, I got to be asked to have a guest appearance on the Grand Ole Opry. And that was an amazing experience, And so, just throughout the course of everything that was going on, there were a lot of things that just kind of came along, and I was fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time and do them. And as I've probably told, you guys this before, Willie, I probably told you this, everything I ever planned and never worked out, and everything that ever worked out and never planned. So that's kind of the way things went. Me being able to stay in Nashville, write songs with some great songwriters, learn that a lot better. People like Pat Bunch, people like Jesse Hunter, the guys in Ricochet, the guys in Restless Heart. A lot of good experience and good, just one-on-one songwriting stuff. And then also going in the studio, demos, singing, playing, learning all of that. I went to Belmont for a little bit I thought I was going to graduate, but I didn't. I went there for a couple of years, and I was able to be in the recording. I took modern recording there, which was pretty cool. And that all this stuff kind of helped me just kind of push along. It wasn't, none of the experiences were complete, but they were just little pieces of things that sort of put together what ended up sort of being a jigsaw puzzle of my being and my journey. Heck, I quit doing this a few times simply because I wasn't making any money at it, and you got to pay your bills. And so I sold all my equipment a couple times, and got a real job, and did a real job for a while, but I always kind of came back to playing the music thing. And my final thing that I did was moving here to Texas. And moving to Texas was probably the best thing for my music that I did, because all the time I was in Nashville, it's always about, okay, well, what are you doing with who next, and who are you hanging with, and all this kind of stuff. It's all about networking. Well, there's nobody to network with here in East Texas, so I was able to kind of like isolate myself for the first time in years. And I found out that I had a lot to say, and I was able to really, really do it the way that I wanted to do it. So that's where a lot of my songs and a lot of my records came from here. The High Cost of Low Living, the song that I'll sing for you guys, which is my latest single, that was recorded in Nashville, and it was recorded at RCA Studio B, which is a historic studio. And for a while, it was actually a working studio after they had reopened it. I think they had closed it in like 1974. Nobody was recording there anymore. And then they reopened it again. I don't know, must have been 20 years later or something. I can't really think of the date, to tell you the truth, but we recorded that song there. And so I don't know. I've had a charmed life. I've been able to participate in a lot of things. I've been able to open shows and stand on the stage with some really, really great monumental artists, and been given the privilege of being treated like an equal among all of that. So experiences, I've had so many that I never thought I would get. And today, all of that stuff just kind of works with the whole ball of wax, as somebody would say. And yeah, I'm still putting the jigsaw puzzle together. There's probably at least a couple hundred pieces left to go, but it's all been a great journey so far, and I'm loving what I'm doing.
Very cool.
Yeah, on the whole selling your music thing, and I've been there. I've been close. I didn't actually do it, but with me DJing, I've gotten real close to saying, all right, I'm done. I had it listed and everything, and I'm like, nope, I'm not quitting. So yeah. I get the frustration completely.
It can be frustrating. It can be, simply because you're in a different sort of modality. Your creativity is you're taking your creativity and you're placing it into almost like you're taking your creativity and you're throwing the dice with them. And that can really be hard on you as an artist or as a songwriter. It's very discouraging. And after a while you start to wonder, well, am I even doing the right thing? What the heck's going on here? But if you're lucky enough to have been able to do some of the stuff that I've been able to do, and you can sit down and make your own records, and with today's technology, I've been afforded the opportunity to actually put records out, not be at the mercy of a major record label, not be at the mercy of a major name, or not be at the mercy of any sort of wild, huge fame. And I think that's probably the place for me. I really do. I tell people a lot of times, I would be very disappointed if a big chunk of success, in the music business came along and ruined my happiness. So
Very cool.
Brad, you got any questions for him, buddy?
Oh, no. I mean, we can certainly get into stuff as we go here, but I can relate to what you guys were talking about. Mine was COVID. It crushed my business for sure.
yeah, it did for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I had to go into other industries, not by choice, but because, like you said, I had to pay the bills. But music has a way of bringing you back, especially for those of us that feel like we're lifers in this business. And, sometimes you do have to do what you got to do, but it usually just refines your drive, it makes you better. And some of the best art I've ever seen has come from people where they just kind of, went out on their own and did their own thing at their own pace and minimize those distractions. I know you and I were talking about that a little bit earlier off set here, but I kind of have still been in that space to some extent with what I've been doing. So I can relate, and I'm sure there are a lot of listeners out there that can relate to that as well. So I
Absolutely.
you.
Well, and with COVID, that's an example, a large example of how when the playing field is completely leveled, all of a sudden your vision is a little clearer about things. You're not making money and the stuff that you were doing tanks. But at the same time, you go, well, listen, if the boat has got a hole in it and it's going down, there's no way I can bail all this water. It's time to get the lifeboat out and get out on the ocean and see where the hell I can go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that happened for a lot of us. For me, that was when we moved from Nashville to Texas, because we were like, my wife was managing 2 boot stores in downtown Nashville. She was thrown out of work. I was playing a lot of music in and out of town, either going, to foreign countries or going, to casinos or playing down on Broadway. All of that stopped. And we just thought, all right, well, we've got an opportunity here where we can make something out of this. We've got a little money saved up. So we just packed a couple of U-Hauls and we just got out, and it was probably the best thing we did, because like I said, for me, I've been much more creative and much more free to pursue what I really love when it comes to making records and writing songs and that kind of thing. Before, it was always a struggle because there was always a lot of distractions that I had to pay attention to. It's not like distractions that are like annoying. It's like, well, you got to pay attention to what everybody else is doing, in order to be, relevant. And so here, being relevant means doing your own thing.
That's right.
It's almost like you got to, they use the saying, keeping up with the Joneses. And I think,
yes,
in music industry, not that you want to be like everybody else, but you got to kind of keep up with what's changing. So more or less you do have to keep up with the Joneses. And sometimes it can be very trying.
Yeah. I learned something from a friend of mine that I sat down and played him songs. The last time I saw him, actually, his name is Joe Scaife. And Joe produced Billy Ray Cyrus, and he produced Gretchen Wilson and all these different artists. And Joe was a great musician and creative guy as well. He was originally from Memphis. And I went in, and when I went into this little meeting, these 2 girls came bouncing out of his office, and they had, kind of messed up, straw cowboy hats and cut off shorts and the little Daisy Duke top and boots and everything. And then there were at least 2 other girls waiting in the lobby to come see him after I got through with him. So I played him a song or 2, and I said, Joe, what's going on out there? He goes, oh, the girls. I said, yeah. He said, I did that Gretchen Wilson album. And he said, it just went great. And he said, now every manager and every A&R person in town is sending me their Gretchen Wilson. I said, what are you going to do? He says, I'm just going to say, thank you. I think you're great. Stay after it. But he said, I'm not going to do anything like that. I said, why? You could make money. He said, but that's not what I want to do. He said, I didn't become a producer to reproduce music. He said, I became a producer to produce music. He said, there's a difference. He said, I could be an A&R guy at a label in a snap. He said, but I would have to fall in line and I would have to produce the records that they want to produce. And most of the time, the record labels always want to reproduce success that's happening somewhere else. And so, in that particular case, it kind of taught me a lesson. Be different. Don't reproduce something. Take what you love, mix it up, put it in a shaker, throw it out there, and then work on it. Make it work for you. So
find your own style.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's always kind of been my thought I do A&R development as well, but I'm kind of against the grain. I tell people to find whatever makes you unique, and double down, triple down on that, because there's only one of you, and hack your own way through the forest instead of taking the path that everybody else is.
Yeah, and it's hard to convince a younger artist that there's no way they're going to be happy doing what they think that they're expected to do, and there is only one way to be happy with what you're doing, and that's to do what you really feel like. When
you're going down that path, I feel like you tend to lose yourself a little bit.
Oh,
yeah. That's the opposite of what you should be doing.
I bounced in and out of all kinds of genres when I was in Nashville. Yeah. I mean, I had rock bands, punk bands, psychedelic bands, blues bands, country bands, you name it, man. I stuck my hands in all of it and did it as well as I could do it, but none of it was ever completely me. But then again, here I am, and I've taken all of those elements and all of those things, and I pull them into something when I feel like that it's going to work for the song, it's going to work for the record. So
yeah, that's good. Well, I'm curious to hear the first song. Should we get rolling with that, Willie? You got something else you want to cover real quick?
No. So what we like to do, unless you have them in a certain order you want to play them, Randy, what I like to do is I like to give Brad a little bit of power. We do 1, 2, or 3, and he picks 1, 2, or 3, and that's the song we play first.
Okay, the old shell game.
So, without any further ado, and by the way, before we get too far into this, I would like you to know the internet problem was Bubba's fault.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
That's an ongoing joke we have, that Bubba used to be a big part of this, and he's kind of stepped back during summer because his kids are real active in sports, and he does a lot for the scene projects. He's a very busy person. So now that he stepped away a little bit, when something goes awry, it's Bubba's fault.
Yeah. Well, he has all those anti-magnetic things going on with him. So, yeah.
All right. So, number 3.
Yep. Let's go.
And on number 3 on my list would be Jericho.
All right.
Oh, we made him D-tune. Sorry.
The dreaded drop D. Here we go. This is a song that came about out of frustration with just what Brad and I were talking about earlier. News cycles and the world trying to eat itself. So this is called Jericho. Goes like this. What you gonna do when the walls of Jericho crumble? What you gonna do when the walls of Jericho crumble? Who you gonna hail and glorify? Who you gonna curse and crucify? What you gonna do when the walls of Jericho crumble? Whoa, 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 whoa. Where you gonna be on a bloody morning after? Where you gonna be on the bloody morning after? Will you be standing on the winning side or laying in the bones of the ones who died? Where you gonna be on the bloody morning after? Are you gonna run? Are you gonna run? Are you gonna hide in the dark of the moon? Are you gonna burn in the black hole sun? What you gonna do when the walls of Jericho crumble? Whoa, 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 whoa. How you gonna feel when the truth is finally spoken? How you gonna feel when the truth is finally spoken? Are you gonna point a righteous finger staring at your face in the mirror? What you gonna feel when the truth is finally spoken? What you gonna say when I ask what you believe in? Hey, what you gonna say when I ask what you believe? Are you gonna speak God's holy name? Swear on your life there ain't no such thing. What you gonna say when they ask what you believe in? What you gonna do when the walls of Jericho crumble? What you gonna do when the walls of Jericho crumble? Who you gonna hail and glorify? Who you gonna curse and crucify? What you gonna do when the walls of Jericho crumble? What you gonna do when the walls of Jericho crumble? Whoa, 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 whoa. That's all for that one.
Nice. I like that one. That was good.
All
Oh,
right,
a
brother.
toe tapper.
Yeah.
It's not a happy song by any means. But I wasn't in a jovial mood when all that stuff started coming out. So I just went, you know what? I just need to go ahead and say this, at least if for nobody else. I'll just say it for myself.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. And so is that one on the new album?
No, that was on. I had an album out about 3 years ago called Lukenbach, and it was on the Lukenbach record, the album. It's not Lukenbach, Texas. It's a song I wrote basically because I took my wife down to Lukenbach, and she didn't know the place existed. She thought it was just a song from Waylon Jennings. And I said, no, it's a real place. So we went down there, and it kind of inspired me to write a song about our little trip down there. And so the album kind of came along later on after all that stuff, and songs that I had that I was waiting to do something with, and then new things that had just kind of fallen out, just like Jericho.
Nice. Very cool. And so when you perform, or is it just you, or do you have other members in the band, or you mainly doing singer-songwriter stuff at the moment?
It's just me, and I do a combination of just a singer-songwriter and let me play songs you guys have heard, and I know that you know the words too. I like for people to kind of be involved. I had a band for years and years. When I moved to Texas, I just thought, if I need a rhythm section, I'll pull one together. But for now, I'm just going to kind of stick with me, and it's easier too because when you're with a band, you got to rehearse them, or at least you got to basically do things that is not going to throw them a curve, because that's no fun. It's no fun to try to play an arrangement that you've never heard before and you don't even have a chart for. So I made a conscious decision just to go with just me and my guitar and my voice and the loudspeakers.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a lot easier that way for sure.
It is, because I can change, I can change directions on stuff too. It's easy for me to do that way.
Yeah. I told him the other day he needs to come to Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told him I knew a sound guy. I told him I knew a sound engineer.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, yeah, that kind of music definitely does well there for sure, but it does in Texas. And country music and just singer songwriters, I feel like are kind of making a resurgence because it is so authentic. And the more AI stuff gets out there, I feel like fans in general are just wanting things that are more real and authentic.
Well, that happened, and just before AI became that thing, there was always records where labels had gotten so slick with production that they kind of lost a core audience and they couldn't attract a new audience. And a lot of times that new audience was going to be attracted by stuff that was a lot more grassroots and kind of spoke to them, not with a bunch of fancy bells and whistles and pyrotechnics, but, real songs and
Sure.
and real voices with real feeling in them. And that's primarily what we do as musicians and as songwriters. We sell feelings, we try to sell honest feelings is what we achieve or try. That's our goal. So, and that's the one thing I've always liked about country music is it's always defaulted. The compass is always defaulted back to honesty. It may not stay there for a long time and it may not get there for a long time, but it comes back around. And it's pretty evident today, actually. I love Zach Top. I'm like going, I like everything this guy does. I like those Red Clay Stray guys because that's just gospel and rockabilly, just thrown together and no effects and just plug straight into the amps and play the drums and just beat the hell out of heaven. Stuff like that. There's a guy here in Texas who's pretty prominent. His name is Hayes Carl. I really love his records. He's made an impact on me listening to him and the way he does things. So it's out there, and that's the good thing about our world today. You're not really limited. The only thing that limits anyone is basically they're not having the knowledge of it. And it still takes a little word of mouth or a little networking or a little that kind of thing in order to spread something around and get people to go, oh, wow, I didn't know about this. Hey, I kind of like this, That's pretty cool.
It is. Yeah. It's one of the things that I feel like is so great about an artist like a Casey Musgraves, like she completely does her.
Yep.
110% of the time. She doesn't care what anybody else says.
No.
She is her, and people love her for that.
Sure they do, because it's honest. The compass, it went to honest. They went, we like somebody who's going to be honest with us, So
that's right. And I feel like, and that's what I always tell, my clients, whether I'm doing consulting or management or whatever, is that just be true to yourself and your tribe will find you.
Yep.
And it's not about appealing to the masses. It's about letting your people find you.
Yeah. Well, I've told similar things to people who were getting into this or doing this and kind of had questions. And I always say, always work to find yourself. There'll always be plenty of people out there who are willing to tell you what to do.
Oh, yeah.
But, the A&R person can always get another artist. The publisher can always get another writer. The promoter can always get another record to promote. The concert, booking guy can always get another actor, but you can't get another you. You can't get another anything who is you. So make sure you take care of that. And all this other stuff will take care of itself if it's really something that's going to work.
That's right. Yep. We're in alignment on that for sure. Theoretically, for sure. Yeah. Definitely march into that same beat and have been for 20 years.
And that's, I admire that because, to me, that's saying, I could probably fudge on this and fudge on that because it might make me another, I don't know, $2,500. But
right.
how am I going to feel about this, at the end of the day or at the end of the year or at the end of 10 years? I tell people all the time, when you're writing a song, when you're doing something, try to at least look forward once and say, is this going to make me cringe 20 years from now when I hear this? So,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I could have gone to some of the bigger agencies, bigger labels, and a lot of that. And I chose to do my own thing for myself. Good. It's like, if I'm going to tell other artists to do this, then, I should, drink my own water. So yeah, I kind of have done that myself. And I know Willie has as well. He's gotten into writing songs and, doing his own production. And I know a lot of that was really new for him. So, he,
yeah. And that's what's so great though, is the independent market. It makes it a whole lot easier for you to be true to who you are.
Yes.
You think back to when Morgan Wallen threw the chair through the bar window. I'm not saying he was in the right. Temper got the best of him. He's human, but there was a lot of people that quit listening to his music because the record label has painted him up as this perfect person.
Yeah.
Party boy that doesn't care kind of image, and in all reality, he has feelings. I mean, and that's whereas I love the independent scene, and that's why, with the festivals I do and the podcast and what we got going here is everything at the Scene Projects. We care about the independent artists, helping them get their music out. Because for me, and the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because I love the music of the 80s. Like country music, rock, I love it all of the 80s.
Yeah.
To me, it had more heart.
It did.
But now it's nice that there's so many independent artists out there. Yeah, it makes it harder to be seen because there is so many and but at the same time, you're seeing a lot of that heart brought back into it because we hit on this earlier where they don't care about the individual. If their voice can get to a certain level, they want to reproduce him to what is hot. Who cares if, and I think that's when you come into it. If you can get a record deal out of it, great. But at the same time, is it worth, and I'm not saying the record label's the devil, I'm just using the analogy, but is it worth selling your soul to the devil when years down the road, you're not going to know who you are?
Well, Willie, here's the thing. The independent genre, and this is spread across all the independent genres, is actually sort of more like what the music industry used to be like when it was all about a great song and a great singer and how they were delivering it and all this kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, at some point, they decided that branding an artist and a brand was more important than the actual, I don't know, the substance. It became a style over substance to sell more merch, to be more marketable, to be this, to be that. And it's like, if they had given this stuff to Freddie Fender, he would have never got there. I mean, because he looked funny, he sounded funny, but yet he could sing his butt off and make great records. And that's the thing that worked for people like Freddie Fender. It'd be hard. We'd be hard pressed to see another Freddie Fender in the mainstream today, simply because it's got to be something that you can put their name on a perfume bottle, or
it's got to fit in a box.
Yeah,
I hate to say it. It's got to fit in a tight little knitted box.
Yeah. So the marketing / branding thing has really become the more prevalent thing, simply because, and it's what you sort of touched on there, selling your soul to the devil. Well, they're called 360 deals is what they're called with major record labels. You sign the deal and they get a piece of everything that you're doing. If you're signed with a major record label and things are going good, and you go out and you do a commercial for an electric scooter, they want some of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They they basically squeezed out the manager role as far as the revenue goes, and then they're like, we're just going to hire the manager to come work at our label.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they kind of hurt themselves when they went. I will say that this was at some point when everything kind of went digital and all that kind of stuff. I think they thought, okay, we're really going to rack up. We're going to be making way more money than we did in the late 70s and the early 80s. That did not happen. They lost more than they gained, and in the losing, the year by year, week by week, month by month, losing the income stream and losing that mountain of money that was basically a lion's share of what was happening with the music industry. They had to make it up on another end. Well, let's just take more from the artist. We'll take more from the publisher. We'll take more from the songwriter. We'll take more from the. So, consequently, they've been trying to supplement something that they themselves made obsolete.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a very strange quandary, because I know probably in the music industry's mind, when they said we have this new format, it's compact disc. All we're going to do is we're just going to reprint all the records on compact disc, and we're going to double and triple down on all this money that we've made in the last 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe that happened for a few years, but then once that slowed down, it was like, wait a minute, how come people, they've got digital? Wait a minute, you can do. You mean a bootleg is actually a first generation copy of a recording session? Yeah, it is, because it's digital.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't like that, did they?
So it can go out now, and it can. And I touched on this earlier on a show I was on earlier today. I saw Don Henley do an interview on a show called the Arsenio Hall Show.
Yeah.
In the mid '80s, and it happened to be around the time that there was a pretty popular R&B song that had a sample. It was like probably 8-bar or 4-bar sample from a James Brown record. And so Arsenio asked Don Henley, who had just finished his book, he said, what do you think of that? I mean, this seems like something that's really dangerous. And Don Henley he looked at Arsenio and he said, this is the paper tiger compared to what's coming. He says, what's coming? He said, they're developing this thing called the internet, the World Wide Web. He said, people will be able to get their music practically for free or for free. He said, and it won't be against the law. He said, record labels will no longer spend money developing artists. He said, and he gave an example. He said, the Eagles' first album was not Hotel California. It was Eagles. That was the first record. He said, our fans and our records developed over several albums, and this huge Hotel California record didn't just come out of nowhere. He said, record labels will now be looking for somebody to have that album, that record on their first try, and they'll spend a lot of money on it. There'll be a lot of music video stuff with a lot of dancing and all this kind of stuff. And if it doesn't work, they're gone. So he said that the days of artists being developed by major labels is going to be over with real soon. And I think he was right. I think a lot of times when you see an artist and they come out and they're doing great, they get to stay around. You see an artist and you go, well, it's almost like when Seinfeld was on the first couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Like people were like, why are they keeping this on? It's not very interesting. Well, they hit their stride and all of a sudden, bam, it was huge.
Yeah.
But you have to develop things. You can't just, genius just doesn't fall out of the sky. Sometimes it has to be kind of worked on. It has to be massaged. You have to make mistakes. As a matter of fact, you don't really learn anything unless you make a lot of mistakes. So
I agree with that.
So, there's a lot to be said for the way things happen in the independent music industry, simply because, like what you guys touched on, people can be themselves. They can do things honestly from the heart, from the gut, and they don't have a committee deciding these things for them. So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's even like that on the agency side too, for booking agents. I've owned my own agency, and we are like labels in a lot of different ways. We say no to 90% of the, submissions that we get. And it's not that their music isn't good. It's that they don't have the other pieces to the puzzle. They don't have the human capital. They don't have the working capital. They don't, for most agencies, we need you to already be making revenue. And,
you need to have an audience. You need to have a full audience. They want, that's the first thing that anybody wants to see in any venue is like, okay, what's your mailing list? What's your social media list? What does it look like? What can we almost expect to see, when we put you on that stage?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. And, my lane has always been taking artists from that regional level to the national and international level, usually within a year or two. When all the bullets are in the gun, so to speak. And that's what most agencies work to do. But, we not only want you to have the numbers, but we want you to have a label and a distributor and new product coming out. We want you to have a publicist. We really would love for you to have a manager as well. And, getting all of those pieces to line up for an artist who's already sacrificed so much just to produce the album and keep the natives happy in the band, on top of doing the creative side of writing the music, like they're wearing 10 different hats and maybe getting paid for one or two of them.
Sure.
At best. And so it's really hard for artists to get all those stars aligned to get to that point. And even when you do get to that point and you finally do get an agency, to your point, it's like, you got about 6, maybe 12 months to prove yourself.
Yeah.
With all those bullets in the gun. And if the phone isn't ringing for you with all the bullets in the gun at that point, then they just drop you.
Yep. Yeah. And anybody who's probably ever gotten there will tell you straight up that their passion had to outlast their frustration. So,
yeah, absolutely.
By miles.
Yeah. And so that was one of the reasons why I created Music Mogul AI, was to solve that gap. Was to bridge the gap for artists, to give them the systems and the infrastructure that they need to run their business.
Yeah.
And it's built from me that's been doing this for over 20 years. And I can give them the database and the workflows and all the sequences and all that stuff that I have used throughout the years. And it's on a subscription basis, and you don't have to pay a percentage. We don't collect deposits. We don't collect any of your money at all. And you get to run your business without it playing favorites, and it doesn't add headcount to your team. So, that was one of the main reasons why I took the plunge with that. But it's the traditional agency model, in my opinion, is broken. It definitely is for artists that are making less than, I would say, $200 to $300K a year in annual live revenue gross income. When you're below that, that traditional agency model is not built for you.
No, it isn't. And with the way things are today, which, in 5 years, things will be different again, because I tell people a lot of times, if you get into this, just remember, you're going to have to learn how to adapt. You got to adapt, and you have to improvise, and you have to know that things around you and things that make these things work will not last, because there'll be something else that will come along that is a different, I don't know, almost like a different matrix or a different, template. Yeah. And you gotta be able to adapt to that,
That's right.
If you want to keep going,
That's right. Yeah. Think about how many artists out there have had to pivot, whether it's stylistically or, aesthetically or whatever, like there's a lot of artists that had to kind of reinvent themselves throughout it. And the ones that do and stay true to themselves at the same time are the ones that last, in my opinion. So
I don't think there's any problem with staying true to who you are, but at the same time, you got to be acceptable to advice.
Sure.
I mean, and I think, especially in what I've seen, is like, I'm not saying I'm the top-notch sound engineer. I know everything, but I know, and I do enough festivals, and I see artists, and I was like, you want a cleaner sound? You want a cleaner sound? Watch how you're holding your mic. If this is your mic, don't hold it like this and then complain that you have distortion. I mean,
or that it's muffled.
Exactly, because as a sound engineer, you can only bring so much of that out and they're like, oh, I'm controlling the dynamic and where it. Like some dude tried to give me this great big old long reasoning on why he does it, and I was like, no, on a dynamic mic, you cannot do that because it goes all the way around that, and they don't take advice, and then they wonder why.
Yeah.
Well, my stuff ain't selling because my stuff sounds distorted or whatever. And when you're trying to produce that, you can only clean it up so much. Yeah. Mastering and stuff, you can clean up quite a bit, but the cleaner you're recording, the easier it is to work with.
Well, henceforth, if you're not able or willing to take advice, then you're going to be subject to learning through harsh mistakes.
Yeah.
And I mean, like,
that's the real wisdom for sure there, Randy. I appreciate you sharing that with everybody. I hope everybody heard that.
For sure. I mean, like, some artists are like, man, that's a great advice. I'm going to try that. I said, if you want to hold it close, but don't put your hand over that and I showed him. I grabbed a mic. I talked on it normal because I also MC a little bit, and I talked on it. And I was like, listen to how this sounds. And I'm talking the same way. Now I'm going to cup this mic. And now listen how he said, man, that sounds like garbage. I said, exactly. I said, that's why. And, and I knew this prior to getting the Full Cell when I'm doing the audio production. I mean, I've been doing it on and off for 5 years. So you learn as you go, kind of like Randy was talking about earlier. And I'm the type of person that if Randy sees I'm doing something wrong, and hey, your producing is really good, but if you fine tune this, okay, I'm going to take this and run with it because I want to be the best version of me I can be.
Yep.
And, I don't understand the ones that get into it that they're just okay being mediocre. Yeah, you're doing it, and I'm not knocking the ones that are doing it. So I don't want you to think that. But why be okay being mediocre when you can shoot for the stars?
That's true. Like I said, it's a lot of times, 90% of what's going on is perception with people. I would have told your friend who was holding the microphone like that, look, I know that looks good in a Run DMC video, but it just doesn't work that way, So
yeah. That is funny because that is pretty much what I told him. I said, that looks really cool in all the music videos, but it don't work that way.
It don't work that way. They didn't, when they recorded that, they weren't doing that, son.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's. I'm curious to hear the second song. Where should we go here?
Anybody got a choice? Wherever you want to go, boys.
Let's do.
Okay.
Randy, why don't you pick which one you want to do? I don't want to make you have to detune.
Let me get all the way up here.
So am I, and then you got to go.
Hi.
Hey there, how you doing? It's good to see you. Hello.
What favorite song is yours?
What's your favorite song?
The show showed up.
What's your favorite song?
The show. They just walk in and just take over. They throw the M&Ms around,
What's your favorite
and they go,
song?
all right, I'm done. I'm leaving. Shows are already figured out.
Say, Randy.
Randy, what's your favorite song?
What's my favorite song? Oh, I've got a lot of.
You asked him a question. You got to let him answer.
I've got a lot of favorite songs, but I can sing this song because Brad was asking me to do one, He said, Randy, you pick one. So I'm going to pick this one. This is called Forget Me Not.
All right.
Forget me not, oh Lord, I pray. If I make it home, will you let me stay? Though I've forsaken you and lost my way, like a thief on the cross, forget me not. I was a child with a home in the sunlight, barefoot and walking in fields of gold, until one night, one callous evening, I started down that long dark road. Forget me not, oh Lord, I pray. If I make it home, will you let me stay? Though I've forsaken you and lost my way, like a thief on the cross, forget me not. Chilly autumn winds blow leaves from the garden, so goes my soul where it never stays. My body's weary, and when I lay it down, in dreams I hear my mother say, forget me not, oh Lord, I pray. If I make it home, will you let me stay? Though I've forsaken you, lost my way, like a thief on the cross, forget me not, oh Lord my God, forget me not. With a soul that's lost, forget me not. There you go. Forget me not.
Nice.
I made that one up. I was supposed to be doing a show at the Texas Country Music Hall of Fame. I was hosting a gospel show for a couple of years. And one year I thought, I need to come up with a few more kind of gospel spiritual songs. So I started working on that. It was going nowhere. The horse just wouldn't get out of the barn. So I said, you know what? Just going to leave it. And then about a year or so ago, I'm sitting at the breakfast table with my wife, and she started talking about how she grew up and how things went for her. And I realized that she had pretty much a relatable story for a lot of people. You plan on, one thing and things kind of start out fairly good, fairly sunshiny, and then they can get dark quickly, and you just got to endure and keep going and pray for a little bit of redemption and a little bit of forgiveness. So there you go.
Very nice. Willie, what were your thoughts on that one?
I really liked it. Of course, I've kind of cheated. Hey, stop. Here. Go.
Yeah.
I kind of cheated, though. I didn't intentionally do it. But when Jenny sent me them, I kind of pre-listened to that one. My computer went and let me close out, so I kind of had to listen to the whole thing. Not that I'm complaining, because I enjoy it. A lot of what Randy does is kind of the music that I really like. I mean, it's kind of a step back into the 80s style of country. It really is. So to me, I already have the 3 songs he sent added to my playlist that plays in my vehicle.
Cool.
They're downloaded.
That's great.
To me, that's what I look for, is you can feel the emotion and the connection to the song, and I thrive on that as someone that's done sound engineer, and now I've had my podcast for a year. Now that I've done all this and I've gotten the stories, and I actually had the privilege of having Randy on my podcast. His episode aired Tuesday, so yesterday. So
yep.
if you ain't seen that one, go check it out. You can find it on the Scene Projects. But
we had a lot of fun, man. It was fun.
we do, and that's what I think this is all about. This is about helping each other out, promoting you just as much as it is you about promoting us. It takes 5 seconds to hit share. I can't tell you how many events I share on Facebook. In fact, I just got out of Facebook jail because I share too much. So I guess I gotta be more cautious of what I'm saying. But I see an artist and I hit share. Because to me, it takes 5 seconds to share a reel about what an artist is doing or what's Brad doing. I don't see a whole lot of reels from Brad, but it takes 5 seconds to share something that someone's doing, good or good. Celebrate with them.
That's how you get the word out, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's so much easier. In one of my classes, we talked about the history of audio production. When it first come out, it was nowhere near as portable as it is now.
No.
Now you can literally on a phone record a track and lay a track down. It's a start. And it's so easy to get your hands on equipment. The biggest thing is investing in yourself, especially as an artist or someone, no matter what you're doing. Take the music out of it. If you want to do something, invest in that.
Yeah, I see Heather's comments coming in here.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, Heather. But no matter what it is, take 5 seconds and invest in yourself. But if you're an artist and you do tracks, buy a flash drive. Put your songs on a flash drive. Do them things that are going to make it to where you do have a show. Hey, I got my music right here. Make it easier on everybody involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right on.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, right on, man. It's great.
Yeah. So I was going to say, Randy, what is something that most of your fans and don't know about you, and what's something that you really want to share with all the listeners out there today about where you are in your musical journey?
Well, I mean, things that people don't know about me is, first of all, I got into the wrong business because I don't like traveling.
Yes, you did.
I totally like, oh boy. I mean, believe me, every time I would ever have to leave town, whether I was going to, Columbia, Tennessee, Tunica, Panama City Beach, or Shanghai, I would be in a bad mood for at least 2 or 3 days. It's just inevitably, I'd just be grumbly and just everything. So, and to this day, I still have never gotten used to it. It's very unsettling. Traveling is very unsettling for me. And my dad was an airline pilot. I should welcome traveling as a natural part of what goes on, but I just I really hate it. Yeah. So, most people probably don't know that about me. One thing that has kind of driven me with what I'm doing and where I'm going is I truly like the experience of being in front of a few people. When I was growing up and I started playing this guitar thing and singing songs, my dad, he bought a little PA system and he put it in their living room, and they would invite their friends over and I would sing for their friends in the living room. Mom would make drinks and everything. So every great performance that I've ever felt like I was involved with was really based on that living room. So I like a kind of a small, intimate thing. I really do not like big stages. I've been on them enough to know this just feels so empty and foreign. The audience is 100 miles away. The band's 100 miles away. Everything's 100 miles away.
Yeah.
That's just not something that I really dig. So I like the small crowd, small audience. I want to see their faces. I want them sitting in my lap. But I don't like to travel, and I'm really not very ambitious either. And that may have played a part in me maybe not going to big things or doing big things. But, I tell people sometimes when they ask me junk like this, and they will ask me, they'll say, man, how come you aren't doing something in the big time or do this? And I'll just look at them straight face and I'll go, listen, if I was doing that, there's no way that I'd be able to sit here at this table and have a conversation with you. I'd be on some bus, or I'd be on some airplane, or I'd be in somebody's office. I'd be hidden away. I said, there's no way that you and I would be able to get to be friends and sit down, and I would be able to experience your company one-on-one. So in that way, that's what makes me most comfortable, closeness and being around, folks that I like and that like what I'm doing.
That's good.
Other than that, I don't know that there's any other secrets. I'd always like to start these podcasts and these interviews and things with, well, just after I recovered from my heroin addiction, I ended up in jail for 6 years, and that's where I really found my music, it was tough, but the warden made sure that I had a guitar in my cell. I'd love to be able to say stuff like that, but I'm sorry. I've lived a charmed life. Everything's been so good. I can't really complain about one darn thing, and every mistake I've ever made has brought me to this point, and so I wouldn't trade all those mistakes either.
Absolutely. Yep. It's all data point.
Go ahead. Sorry, Brian.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. I cut you off. You go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just thinking, fortunately, there are other roles in the music industry that do not require travel. There's, you could be a session player. You could, pitch your stuff for licensing and synchronizations. There's a lot you can do in your hometown. There's always something to do creatively in music. And sometimes it is just tapping into what floats your boat. You know what I mean? What makes you happy?
And in order for me to do this, I have to put up with some disdain for traveling, but that's okay. It's temporary.
Yeah, when I first started out in the music industry, I was a tour manager, and I was like, oh my God, this is so great! I get to travel and see the world.
No, you don't.
And I was like, I did it for about a month, it was about 3 months,
Yeah.
but about a real month's worth of work, because everything was spaced out. But I was the driver. I was setting up equipment, before the show, sleeping in the van during the show. So because after the show, I had to break down, load everything back up, and then drive everybody home after that. And that was my life. And I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
So anyway, like you said, sometimes you just have to put in the reps and learn what you do like and what you don't like. And only way to really find out. And
and I tell people who do this, they say, how is it that you work so much, and how is it that you get to do so much? I say, well, my policy is before I pick up the phone when it's ringing, the answer is going to be yes, and then when I hang it up, I figure out how I'm going to do it. And I've become a jack of a lot of different trades simply because I volunteered for something I had no idea what I was going to do, but I kind of learned it on the fly. And I tell people, who do this, and I think I've probably mentioned this before to Willie, learn everything that there is. Do every job, I've been a grip on video shoots. I've hung lighting. I've run monitors, mixing monitors. I've run mains. I've set up, I've torn down, I've done all that stuff. You know, I did a lot of hands-on stuff. So when the time comes, and the time is always here now, when the time comes where I need to make these decisions for myself and I need to get somebody to help me with that, I'll know if they're not doing a good job. And I'll know that if I need to say, look, you need to do it like this because this is how it works, you know. Yeah. And also, if push comes to shove, I'll say, you know what, let me just do this. It's all good. We're good. You know?
Yeah. That's good, man. At least you know who you are and what you want and what you don't want. And sometimes that's 50% of the battle.
Yeah, that's fine.
Volunteering is how you get stuff, you know, like we had talked about in our interview with, that's how I got into running sound. The guy that was supposed to do sound showed up drunk, and next thing you know, I said yes.
It's up to you.
And here I am. I think if it wasn't for that, I call everything life lessons, you know.
Yeah.
Good, bad.
Trial by fire, definitely.
Yeah. Good or bad.
It happened with me with oh, doggone it. The guy that wrote Poke Salad Annie. I mixed a show for him in Nashville. The first set went horrible, and he was like cussing me out on the break. So I fixed the monitors. I did everything I could to wring the monitors out and get them right. And by the end of the night, he had his arms around me. Oh, man, that was great. Oh, that's so good. Oh, I really appreciate it. I'm like going, wow.
Yeah, that is really funny when someone like that, because like my very first show, there was this guy, his name's Levi. Levi Haven out of Columbia, and he showed me the basics. I mean, the core basics, and he tried adding more to it. And I was like, dude, you got to stop there. I was honest with him. I'm like, if you add any more to this, you are going to overwhelm me. You got to stop with the basics. Let me get my basics down. And he did, and they were really great. They were happy about the show and how well it went. But then I got to years later do another show for him and his band, and he's like, dude, completely different sound engineer than you were 2 years ago. So it's kind of nice to get, especially in the music industry, to get that attaboy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do it for the attaboys, but it's nice every now and then to get an attaboy.
Yeah. The artist was Tony Joe White. I just thought of it. I mean, you know, and it was a trial by fire thing for you, and you were like, wow, I did it. Oh, thank you. I hope I can do it again.
Sweating the whole time.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, my first couple shows as a sound engineer, I'm going to be honest, I did not enjoy.
Of course not.
And it's not because I was so busy trying to get everything to come out perfectly that I missed half the show just because I was so focused on the board.
Right.
And, you know, I've had to learn since then, it ain't about turning a knob halfway up. You know, it's the little things, you know.
Yeah.
Minor adjustments.
Yeah. Trust in your ears. So,
yeah.
I didn't understand that. That is one of the advice the guy told me the very first time. That very first Saturday ever getting thrown to it. He's like, all else fails, trust in your ears. I was like, dude, I am not musically inclined, and you're telling me to trust in my ears. I have no idea what you mean. That's exactly what that been said. Now it's gotten to where when you hear them certain things, you can say, okay, I need to bring some of the bass out of the vocals or out of the tracks or whatever what it is. I need to fine tune here, and it makes the night a day. You know, you've got to. But then again, it wasn't just me doing it, hooking it up, and I'm a sound engineer. You can ask Brad. Even when I first met Brad, I referred to myself just as a sound guy, a sound guy. And it took me a long time. In fact, it wasn't until I won an award for Sound Engineer of the Midwest that I actually changed my mind that, and Bubba gets on to me for it all the time because I talk to Bubba a lot. And he's like, what'd you just say about yourself? I said, I'm a sound engineer. He's like, that's better.
Cool.
Because to me, it's about being modest. You know, Yeah, you can be great and you can be really good, but at the end of the day, there's always someone better.
That's true.
So why be like, oh, I did this, I'm the best that walks the earth? And I mean, for me, that's how I look at it. Why be so cocky about it that the ones that get cocky are the ones that end up tripping up in the long run?
That's true. Yeah.
Well, let's. I'm curious to hear the third song.
Okay.
You're gonna like it. You're gonna like
Right.
it.
I think so.
So
Why don't we
this
get a little backstory on it real quick from
This is the single that's on the radio right now. It's been out about 6 weeks, and it's doing real well on all the charts, which I'm really delighted with. But I'm even more delighted that people keep telling me I can't get this song out of my head. I'm going, well, that was kind of my goal.
There you go.
My friend Mason, who is a little Jewish guy from Connecticut, brought this idea to me. He and I wrote songs for a good long while in Nashville. And I said, well, I know you haven't lived this idea, but I have. So let me take this and see where we can go with it. So this is High Cost of Low Living, and it was recorded. The record that people hear was recorded at RCA Studio B. And the guy that's playing drums on it is a pretty cool guy by the name of Craig Cramp. Craig was anybody who's ever heard the song Betty Davis Eyes, that's Craig Cramp playing the drums. So here goes High Cost of Low Living.
Great question.
I spent Saturday night just raising all kind of hell. But what to say that I did, I can't remember too well. But I must have had a ball, cause I spent my whole week's pay. Lord, I can't save a dime, working overtime, living my life away. The high cost of the low living ain't never gonna slow me down. The high cost of a low living keeps me wondering am I lost or found. The high cost of a low living is getting higher every day. The high cost of a low living, I'm gonna pay it on the judgment day. Yeah. Well, I woke this morning feeling strange in a stranger's bed. Well, it sound like a 9-pound hammer swinging in my head. When I made it to work, I heard the boss man say, son, you're 2 hours late. You better get straight or I'll be sending you on your way. The high cost of low living ain't never gonna slow me down. The high cost of low living keeps me wondering am I lost or found. The high cost of low living is getting higher every day. The high cost of low living, I'm gonna pay it on the judgment day. Yeah. Woo. Yeah. With time on my side and my pockets all full of cash. Well, I'm taking life for a ride. Somehow it don't ever last. The high cost of a low living ain't never gonna slow me down. The high cost of a low living keeps me wondering am I lost or found. The high cost of low living is getting higher every day. The high cost of low living, I'm gonna pay it on the judgment day. Yeah. Woo. There you go, boys.
Nice. Yeah, it seemed like you were having a little more fun on that one.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a kick in the pants. So
Yeah.
I told you like that one.
Yeah.
You played that one on my show. That's the only reason I know you'd like that one.
Okay, very nice.
right on.
Heather seemed to like that one as well.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Willie. I appreciate it. Oh, look out. Hey, all right.
Uh-oh.
It's
Very
been through a lot
cool.
worse than that.
Yeah, I've had that happen a lot on mine as well. Bent some tuning keys on it.
All right.
Yeah. Well, that's really great, man. And so that's on the new album that was released. What was the date?
This is the new single. It was released 6 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I've been doing singles mostly for the last year or so, simply because doing an album at this point is not, first of all, I can concentrate a lot more energy and a lot more stuff on one record. You know, it helps me focus a lot more on that. And eventually there'll probably be an album that will emerge from all of these singles that I've been doing. You know, I had a single of Cats in the Cradle last year, the Harry Chapin song. And so there's a few other things that have been singles that have had action as well. So I'm probably warming up to another album, but right now I'm not printing anything or putting anything out as a whole collective work under one theme. You know,
yeah,
but it'll get there. You know, right now I'm enjoying doing the singles, so it's pretty cool.
Well, the algorithms reward you more for that anyway on all the platforms. So that's what most industry people will tell you to do at first anyway, not to drop albums anyway. So I think that's good, and that seems to fit your work schedule, and you know.
Yeah, it's a lot more work, and I hate to let songs on an album, for instance, I hate for any of them to kind of suffer because they got neglected a little bit here, a little bit there, and have to go back and go, boy, I really could have done this or could have done that. At this point right now, doing a single, it's like I can pretty much cross every T and dot every I that I need to get done. So.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, so where can our listeners see you performing? You got any shows coming up here? Anything you want us to share?
I'll be down in Lukenbach, Texas on August the 29th in the dance hall playing with a band that I've formed here in Texas that I haven't played very often with them, but the name of the band is called The Last Band Standing. And then I'm going to be at the Pasadena Opry in October, which is called the Hometown Opry. And there's a lot of great players. They have a house group there that plays there. So I go in and I do about 8 songs with them. It's a fun show. I'm actually going to be in Middle Tennessee on August 21st at a place out in Brush Creek. I'll be posting that online, and I'm going to be with a group on that gig that I used to work with for years called the Knott Brothers, because we're Knott Brothers. So there's some things coming up along with my regular things I do, which are wineries and listening rooms and things like that. I do a lot of performing here in East Texas, and people can see that on my website, which is randyinitialcmore.com.
Nice. Good deal. Yeah, I dropped that in our comments section earlier, but I can definitely put that in there here again. Any other, what social platforms are you active on? Where would you like people to find you there?
Yeah, I'm just doing a couple of different things with Facebook, my own Facebook page, Randy C. Moore. Then I've got Randy C. Moore Music, which deals with a lot of what we're doing today, media and radio and podcasts and things like that. And then I've got Friends of Randy C. Moore, which was actually formed by somebody else. And then I kind of took it over, and all it does is just tell people where I'm going to be week to week playing live. So
gotcha. Kind of your own fan group page. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's a smart thing to do for sure.
I just try to stay in the curve because there's no way I'm going to get ahead of it.
I think a lot of us can relate to that for sure. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic, man. Well, definitely enjoyed all the songs and really appreciate your time.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
it's a privilege for you guys to take your time to spend with me. As much work as you guys do on this stuff, and as many different great artists that you work with. Thank you. I do appreciate it. There's no way I kind of express it except for, gosh darn, thanks a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we love to have artists on here like yourself. If you know anybody else that might want to join, definitely have them reach out. If anyone else is listening and you want to get on the pod here, definitely send us your information. Be happy to consider you guys. And we're always looking for learning about artists and their stories, and just if we can help out with any industry knowledge or anything that I can do to help with what I do and with what Willie does on the production side. We're always just trying to help our community, and that's one of the main goals here. Willie, did you want to give a quick plug for Operation Combating Veteran Suicide real quick?
I absolutely can. We talk every week. This isn't something that's near and dear to my heart. Unfortunately, the number is outrageous, 22 a day. I know CVS is Operation Combating Veteran Suicide. You can see it right here beside me. But if you're interested, you can go to the website. I have it on the screen. It's oc-vs.com. You can check them out. If you're in the Salem, Missouri area, the first of every month, starting in August, we're going to have a Pizza Hut fundraiser to help, and 20% of the profits will go to them. And then the big thing, of course, is the Voice for Veterans Rally, which is coming up September 19th here in Salem. It's going to be a fun-filled day. $5 to get in, and vendors' fees. They're going to be vendors, artists. Every bit of the money raised will go to Charlotte Roop and Casey Roop, which are the co-founders, and they will actually be down to receive the money.
That's awesome.
Very cool. Very cool.
Awesome.
I did want to, we briefly touched on this last week, but I've recently started as an advisor for a company called Verified Human. It's verifiedhumancert.com. I can put that in the chat here, but they are working to be the first official stamp of human authorship, not only in music, but for podcasts and a bunch of other verticals, but they're mainly focused on music and podcasts. So if you guys or any of our listeners are interested and you want to have a certification mark for your tracks, highly recommend you check it out. It's not very much to do for each track, but especially if you're trying to get your music into licensing or synchronizations and things of that nature, highly recommend it. Music supervisors will not touch anything that is AI related. So you can really separate yourself from others by having that certification mark, and will definitely help you stand out. But it's a big trend and a big problem in our industry. And anyway, I was brought on as an advisor, so I did want to let you guys know about that as well. So yeah, I'll put that in.
But also, guys, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all that good jazz. And Randy, are you on YouTube?
Yeah, I've got music videos on YouTube of a lot of my different songs going all the way back to 2016, and I've got there's live performances. You can dial it up and see my performance that I did in New Jersey after 9/11. It was a big show, and Bruce Springsteen was a headliner and junk like that. So there's a lot of stuff out there that people can see with my name on it. Heck, they can bore themselves to death with it if they want to. It's all good.
Well, man,
guys, make sure you go check him out, follow his page, subscribe. We appreciate every one of you that tune in. Being able to share someone's story and the pride in their music. And if you heard his music tonight and you have family that can relate or would like their music, share it. Like we said earlier, 5 seconds. Don't even take 5 seconds anymore. Technology is. But, share.
That's right. It's the best way to support any artist out there. Definitely, buy the tickets to the shows, buy the merchandise. It does way more than a stream ever could. So if you really do want to support your local artists, we highly recommend it, and that is the best way to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome, Randy. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for sharing your story with us and all the listeners here. And yes, we just wish everybody the best. Let us know how we can help. And thank you again for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And y'all remember, until next time, remember to love one another, and you are loved.